When we have really cold weather like we experienced over last week, I often get questions from our neighbors about how things work here at City Utilities. So, Duffy, kind of tell us, just how does natural gas get here to Springfield?
That's a good question, Gary. City Utilities purchases gas from 30 different suppliers across the western states, and we do that primarily to get the best price we can for our customers. We purchase gas from companies such as British Petroleum, and those suppliers then, they're responsible for getting the gas into a transportation system to get it to us. We contract with Southern Star Central Gas Pipeline to transport the gas from those suppliers then to Springfield. The gas flows from various locations around the country, primarily to the Joplin area, and then from Joplin it flows to the city of Springfield through two pipelines that Southern Star uses to transport that gas to the city. And all of that then is, when it comes to the city of Springfield, we basically take possession of that gas at 5 different city gate stations. Gate station is essentially a large metering location where we measure the gas, we measure the content, the quality of the gas, and the heat content, and then we use our distribution system to transport that out to our customers.
Yeah, I always like to think of it as just no different than a highway and a trucking company.
Exactly.
You know, we're buying things, and then we have a trucking company, which is essentially like the pipeline that gets it here to Springfield. So there's a couple of different areas where things can go wrong. Number one is the supplier might not deliver to the trucking company, and that trucking company might get broke down somewhere between here and Joplin.
Yeah, and then when it comes to us, it's our responsibility to get out to our customers, and all that we have to work together to get that supply to our customers. And so every piece of it's critical that everybody does their part to make sure the gas supply gets here when we need it.
Great. When we have really cold weather events like we had this weekend and we put that call out to our customers, why do we ask our customers and neighbors to help us conserve?
Well, typically we buy enough gas to cover the needs of our customers for the most extreme events. But on certain times we may have something that happens to the supply or it doesn't get here. That's what happened on Sunday night. We purchased enough gas to cover our customers' demands for the Sunday day and into Monday morning, but late Sunday evening we were notified by our supplier that we weren't going to get that gas delivered to us. And so what we expected to get and what we were going to get were two different things, and our concern was that our customer demand might exceed our supply that we were getting coming to Springfield. So we do certain things to prepare for that. We take steps, but one of those that we needed to do Sunday was reach out to our customers and ask them to voluntarily conserve. And we tried to do that as early in the morning as we could without interrupting people in the middle of the night. But we want to let them know that as we're going into that morning peak, that's a high gas usage time, and we wanted to ask people to voluntarily do things to conserve their natural gas use. And that combines both cutting down their electrical use, which also has an impact on the natural gas, but reducing their gas demand so that we can try to bring our demand down. And the reason that's important is because if we have more gas going to our customers than we've got coming in, that deficit can cause problems for our system. It can affect the reliability of our system. We want to make sure we keep the gas flowing to our customers across the board. And that was the main reason why we did the conservation measures on Monday.
And we really appreciate our customers.
Exactly.
We could tell an impact that it had. We could tell our customers really took our call seriously and turned the thermostats down a degree or two because it made a difference. And that's what it's really all about, is pulling together so that we can maintain natural gas supply for the whole community, not just an individual.
That's a big part of it, is everybody doing their part to try to help us get through a crisis event. That happens very rarely, but it's good to know that we have a community that works together to help keep our system reliable and operable.
Yeah. And when we ask our customers to conserve, I also get the question, can't we just go out and buy more natural gas ahead of time and store it?
That's exactly what we do, Gary. We work with our suppliers throughout the year to try to buy gas at that low price point and then put it into storage. When we buy gas in the summertime, a lot of times we're buying it for the winter season, and we contract with Southern Star Central Gas Pipeline to store that gas so that we've got it available to use during these cold weather events, and especially during these extreme cold weather events, we've got it in storage and we can draw out. The challenge is the amount of gas we can draw out at any one time. And so when we're in a peak weather event where we've got extreme temperatures and high gas demand from our customers, sometimes that storage is not always enough to draw it out. So we have to go out and buy additional gas on the market. And that's the two things that we typically try to do to make sure we got gas coming to our customers and we're meeting their demand in a safe and reliable way.
Yeah, I always tell people, physics is real. There's only so much gas you can pull out one time. There's only so much gas that you
Exactly.
can shove through the pipeline to Springfield.
Yep, we've got molecules in equals molecules out, and we've got to make sure that we stay within the bounds of the constraints of the pipeline. So.
Yeah, one question I got last week a lot too is if we had more coal-fired power generation during this natural gas shortage, would that have made a difference?
Well, it's important to know when we go to buy natural gas, we're buying gas for our customers, for the natural gas system, and we're not putting power generation in competition with our customers. So the gas we buy is intended to come to our customers. We may buy gas for power generation, but it's a separate unit. So whether power generation is using gas for generation or coal, it's not going to short our customers. It's not going to take away from their supply.
You know, and it's important to remember too, you know, we have other fuel sources for our natural gas combustion turbines. So some of them are dual fuel, and we can use diesel fuel during that time frame as well. But it is an overall larger question. We know as we move to a more carbon-restrained future that more and more people outside of Springfield across the nation are using natural gas for power generation. So it's not so much a local issue as it is a national issue to know that getting supplies to be purchased into Springfield can be an issue.
That's a big challenge for the natural gas industry and for the national system, is that demand that power generation is making on the gas supply across the nation that then does compete with customer use. But we're trying to go out and hedge against that, buy and store and make preparations so that we've got the natural gas that our customers need, and that the gas we're buying for the city of Springfield is not competition with the gas we're buying for our power generation units. So.
So during these times of cold weather, how does cutting back on electric usage help the natural gas?
Well, it may seem counterintuitive, but a lot of our natural gas appliances, they have an electric component to them. Your furnace, though it may run on natural gas, has it has electric motor and other things on there. So reducing the usage of that appliance often will not only reduce the electric usage, but it'll reduce the natural gas usage as well. And so that's a big way of helping conserve the natural gas that we're trying to mitigate.
And those things do work together, especially in the overall grid as a whole. So in the Southwest Power Pool footprint, which is really most of the Midwest, natural gas overall and for the stability of the grid is a really important piece. And during this last cold weather event, when the wind wasn't blowing out in Kansas and Oklahoma and solar wasn't contributing to the grid, a lot of the power generators outside of Springfield had to use natural gas to generate power. And so it's important that we talk about both things at the same time.
Right.
Well, one question that I got a lot last week was, hey, you're asking me to cut back at my home, but you also go first to our large commercial industrial customers and ask them to cut back before we ask homeowners.
Yeah, our largest industrial customers are often curtailable, which means they have a backup fuel system that they can switch over to whenever we get into a situation where our gas demand is getting high enough that we can't deliver to all of our customers. And so we've got customers that will notify in advance. They'll switch over to backup fuel, and that reduces our load about 6% of the total load of our customers, and it helps us in those times whenever we are, when in those high demand times, cold weather, to mitigate the threat of going over our supply.
Yeah, and even those customers that aren't one of those curtailable customers that don't pay for their share of the transportation, we also have a lot of other large customers that we reach out to and just ask them to consider cutting back. And we definitely do that in all of our public buildings with our public partners as well. Yeah,
that's a good cooperation that we have with those customers who aren't curtailable, but they have a large gas load that they're willing to work with us and voluntarily reduce their demand to help bring down the total demand of the system.
Great.
Yep.
Gary, when we reach out to our customers and ask them to conserve energy, what's a proper temperature we ask our customers to look at for their homes?
Or really this time of the year, and when we ask people to conserve, if they could turn their thermostats down to 68 degrees, that'll be ideal. But we also want our customers to remember, for every degree below 68 you turn down, that's definitely going to help them on their utility bills, and it's going to help us conserve energy as well. But I also really want customers to know we're never going to ask you to go so low that it's going to affect your health or safety or compromise your pipes freezing or something like that. So just remember, any degree you turn below 68 is going to help us on our bill.
So we know we reach out to our customers and ask them to conserve energy, conserve in any way they can. What does the utility do to conserve?
So we're really watching the weather every minute of every day here at City Utilities. So when we see cold weather coming in, we get with all of our facilities across town and turn our thermostats in our facilities down. We close blinds, do other things that we can to keep lights turned off and other things to conserve energy. We also reach out to our other public partners, the City of Springfield, Greene County, and ask them to do the same thing. And they're always really great for helping out to reduce energy needs before we do that. And that's not just in the wintertime. If it's in the drought in the summertime, we'll turn back and lower the pressures in our building or put restrictors on our faucets and that sort of thing. It's just always trying to make sure we're doing our part first and we're showing leadership before we ask our customers and neighbors to do the same thing.
This really is a community effort.
It really is. It's really about pulling together just to make sure that we maintain a supply for everyone in the community.
People are always concerned about their bills, and we do everything we can to educate and help them through that. But why are bills higher during periods of extreme weather?
So we're always going to do things that we can to help keep costs low for our customers, and especially on the fuel side. But it really is during periods of extreme cold or extreme heat, our customers are just going to use more. Their furnaces are going to run longer, their air conditioners are going to run longer, and so just the fact that our customers are using more is going to make bills higher. And we also need to remember that what you're using this month, it's going to be a month before that's billed back to our customers. So you're not going to see it immediately. You're probably going to see it a month from now. But ahead of all those events, we're doing what we can to buy fuel as cheap as we can, to buy coal as cheaply as we can for our neighbors, and also just making sure that we do everything we can to keep our costs as low as possible. Higher bills this time of the year has nothing to do with a rate increase. It's just purely a fact that we're passing through our cost of fuel to our customers. If we pay $1 for natural gas, our customers are going to pay $1 for natural gas. None of those prices are marked up for our customers.